Hey, welcome to my YouTube channel HK Unique World. Today I would like to talk about great history of the ancient Americans. The early Americans were the peoples, those who were actually coming from the Asian continents. Before near about the 40,000 BC to the 10,000 BC, there was a land bridge between the Siberian territory areas to there also another land bridge which was actually totally depend on to the iceberg was really connected with the North Americans. The peoples, those who are the hunters for their hunting purpose, they chase the mammoths, the gigantic elephant-like animals, and they were killed by the hunters for their task and for their flesh and other purposes. So that's why that was a very great important things for the aboriginal peoples like the Siberians. They followed to hunters the mammoths. They cross the Bering areas, Bering Straits, which was named was the beringia, and reached to the North Americans, the place where Clovis near about the Mexico, and they actually followed their hunters, and they already reached to the Americans' land. So the land bridge was played a vital roles for that hundreds and thousands of years ago. After the 10,000 BC, and there's the peoples, those who are the hunters and those who are working for chasing and killings the mammoths. Later, when the mammoths were being extinct, the hunters and they followed the small animals like the deers and other the boars like other animals, and in this way there were actually state limited areas by when they knew how to plant seeds and growing up different kind of crops. Actually they were encircled their areas, and gradually they are accustomed to live in certain areas. And in this way the peoples of the hunters becoming attempt, and they have stopped their huntings rather than they were working inside of their villages and areas. In this way they developed a wild fantastic farming, and also they also built up some houses with the help of marks and the leaves of the trees, and also help of the stones. So in this way they developed their history, and they developed their lifestyles, and they also followed the games. Games means they were chasing and the big giant animals like the mammoths. Later they were following some small animals like the boars or the deers, and in this way they were becoming the less flesh eater rather than they were actually accustomed to the vegetables and other important crops and corns in that areas. So the Americas actually is situated from the north side is the Arctic oceans, then to the southern sides in South America to the Antarctic oceans. So between the two the ice areas, the North America and South America developed their old civilizations. So the farming when the farming they developed, they also developed their lifestyles, and they had to work less because the time they almost leave their professions as a hunter gatherers, and they were becoming the farmer, and they harvesting the crops for a happy life. In surrounding areas there are the Rocky Mountains. They also find some stones, and they find also the water for the coastal areas, and they also find the timbers from the woods and the forests. So that's why they made some beautiful houses, and they were accustomed to plant more seeds which actually were taken to when that were grown ups as the staple foods like the maize and also the other things which were very important and very common for the Americans. The early Americans' life was very simple, and they lead very good lives by farming and hunting the wild animals, and also collecting some fruits from the jungles or the woods. In this way, they lead a fantastic and a beautiful life, which was actually at the times when the Asians and also the Africans were building up the great civilizations. They are also not far behind. They had the great contribution to build up the great civilizations, like the civilizations of the different names. That was first was civilization was the Olmec civilizations, and also later the Japotecs, and in South America in the country of Peru, the civilization of the Andean areas were developed, and these civilizations also very famous, such as the Chavin civilizations, and also the Moches and the Nazcas. They were very famous at the times. So the history of the Mesoamericans, and also the earlier life and their history of the Americans beginning, how the human reached to the North and South America. There are also the more questions about it. The scientists believed that it might be the Chile's Mount Beta, the great place for the sea lovers like the Ainu peoples, those who came coming from the Japans, who were loving the boat, and by paddling they reached to the Chile coastal areas, and they built up the great civilizations. So in that way, by the researcher and also the archaeologist found out some trace of the historic things like the human skulls, and also the hides of the animals, and also the baby bones. So the earliest civilization of the Americans actually started near about the 40,000 BC to the 10,000 BC, and that from the 10,000 BC to near about the 280s, and it later lasting for the life next times, because there was also the Maya civilizations, the Aztec civilization, also the Inca civilizations in this, and that way they were developing their civilizations. So thank you very much for watching my the Americans history, about the earliest history of the Americans and Mesoamericans, and next video I'll be discussing about the civilization of Olmec and Japotecs. So those who are watching my video, once again thank you very much. Please, it's my special request to you, those who want to know more about the more history about the world, please subscribe my channels and throw some comments and give some reacts. So thank you very much for today.